Good morning. This part is the introduction. What follows is what they call the setup. So let's get through this part so that we can finally hit the road. Let me start with Little Bear. I met Little Bear because he works as a public educator for a petroglyph conservancy in Scottsdale, Arizona. He found me at the end of the conservancy's trailhead while I was photographing all the innocuous parts of the landscape. Things like rest benches, handrails, and information signs, which is the dead giveaway that I'm an architecture student, here to see the architecture, and not so much the ancient petroglyphs. It's well over 100 degrees out when Little Bear and I begin talking, and even though I grew up in the arid climate of Southern California, out here in the Sonoran Desert I'm sweating so bad I look like I went for a swim in the creek running alongside the trail. He and I talk for close to an hour, and it's mostly one-sided because I can't speak for very long without pausing to wipe down my forehead with the front of my t-shirt. I learned later that Little Bear was born and raised in the Southwest, which explains why he's dressed in a full-length machinist jumpsuit with a paisley bandana tied across his forehead. People with your blood, he tells me, since you're traveling in this region, always make sure you wear sunscreen, drink a lot of water so you stay hydrated, and be sure to start wearing a hat. So our discussion digresses from native petroglyph symbols to something called stealth architecture, and Little Bear prefaces part of the conversation by mentioning that his tribal title is shaman. But he prefaces this by saying that to truly achieve something with the title means no longer being that title. So he doesn't refer to himself as a shaman. He's a shaman when other people defer to him as their shaman. And shamans, he says, don't reveal the truth, but instead, the role of the shaman is to reveal what's already known. Alright, let's pause. Here's the thing. After reading On the Road and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, after Route 66 and Baghdad Cafe, after the Lewis and Clark Diaries, One Too Many Doors albums, and even Dante's Inferno, having a chance meeting with a shaman along a desert trail, a shaman who then gives you sage words and sends you on your way, deciding to begin a travelogue with this scenario is the biggest road trip cliche. But that's exactly how it happened. Except that in my case, the shaman I met advised me to use sunscreen, drink water, and wear my hat. All things considered, though, this is actually pretty good advice, and it turns out Little Bear knew a lot about the architecture. All travel is escapist, but it's also about re-education. And as far as I could tell, re-education was the simple motive behind taking a road trip across the American West. My plan was simple. Hit the road, go visit as many of the buildings I love, but I only know from photographs and magazines. A few of these sites are ancient, and some are barely a century old, but the majority of them were built in the last 3 decades. I spent months planning this trip. I've been hunting down addresses, setting up discussions with architects, conducting research and pinching pennies. LA to Phoenix, the Dakotas, Chicago, Kansas, Seattle, Los Angeles from San Francisco. The possible itinerary in the American West is over 60 buildings that have interested me for years. The West has been occupied by humans for close to 13,000 years. For the modern United States, the West is the territory wrapped up in the colonial dream of manifest destiny. This idea that a nation could stretch from one ocean to the other without any entangling alliances. This meant a lot of planning, which included buying most of the land from the French, wiping out and fencing in the way of life for ancient civilizations, and strong-arming the rest from the Spanish and the Mexicans. In January of 1847, less than a mile away from my childhood home, at the base of what is now the Universal Studios theme park in Hollywood, California, the Mexican General Andre Pico signed the Treaty of Cahuenga, which ceded California to the United States and fulfilled manifest destiny. At the location of this signing, effectively the end of that first dream, is an adobe structure built around 1800 known as the Campo de Cahuenga. Millions of Los Angeles residents drive over it every day without knowing it's here. Right here, at the Campo de Cahuenga, the stampede of Western civilization and the rally cry of Go West both stopped. For these reasons, a brief visit to the Campo de Cahuenga is where I've decided to begin my road trip. Once part of a much larger Mexican rancho inside of a native village called Cahuenga, In the mid-90s, the Campos Foundation was rediscovered after contractors dug into it while building LA's subway system. Today, most of the subsequent foundation lies beneath the heavily trafficked Lancashire Boulevard. I'm starting here because I think Campo de Cahuenga's restoration design is refreshing. Completed in the mid-1990s, the design expresses layers of history, context, and land use. To highlight the buried parts of the foundation, archaeologists reveal the foundation under the street by texturing the street to mimic the foundation's adobe stonework. By doing this, the restoration reveals the Campos Foundation, where it overlaps and collides with Hollywood's city plan. As it turns out, the site is only open on the last Sunday of the month, so I don't stay long. Truth is, I'm also itching to hit the road, and I'm more interested in touring LA when I return with a fresh pair of eyes. My first stop will be Phoenix, but instead of driving for hours in the dark, I'm spending the night at the Riverside Casino in Laughlin, Nevada, a gambling town in southern Nevada looking over the Colorado River. The city of Laughlin, Nevada, represents that more recent American dream, the one about pulling up bootstraps, hard work, and perseverance, modern rags to rich myths like the Beverly Hillbillies, the Jeffersons, and Scarface. Laughlin was reluctantly named after founder Don Laughlin in the mid-1950s, when he submitted a city charter to the state of Nevada for the city of Riverside. But the state of Nevada forced him to name it Laughlin, citing an overabundance of cities named Riverside. Don Laughlin is still alive and can be seen walking the floor of his own casino, named the Riverside, of course, along with the rest of his family, who supervise the gaming floor and apparently deal from time to time. The main strip in Laughlin runs along the Colorado River and is lined with corporate casinos, but they all pay a cut back to Don Laughlin. It seems like Laughlin is the last proverbial frontier town, where the laws are made by one man, a town reluctantly named after him, where his family-owned casino has the only hotel rooms with balconies and a classic old-school gaming floor. The kind of place where if you lose your wallet on craps, you can actually shake the hand of the man who's got your money. It's kind of like the last frontier gangster land grab individual success story so grand, it justifies a Don Laughlin bobblehead. This one talks and offers aphorisms on success.
I'm Laughlin, Nevada's founding father, Don Laughlin. Come let us entertain you.
But to tell you the truth, these are all the reasons I'm only crashing here for the night. The rooms are so cheap because an hour too long in a place like this could empty the pockets packed for the road trip. So I'm glad tomorrow evening I'm heading to Phoenix to visit a library, a summer home, and a hole in the sky.
LA, Southern California through the West Coast, where everybody is somebody and the game is fame. Do everything with the bang and everybody wanna know what sets you claim. I'm from LA, Southern California through the West Coast, where everybody is somebody and the game is fame. Do everything with the bang and everybody wanna know what sets you claim.